Hello, this is History Shorts with the Artifactual Scholar. Today, I'll be talking about the Great Stink of London in 1858. In the mid-19th century, London was one of the largest and most prosperous cities in the world. The booming metropolis, center of a vast global empire, had a population greater than 2 million people in the 1850s. In addition, there were tens of thousands of horses, dogs, cattle, and other animals that traveled the city's streets. In a city of that size, one of the great challenges was public sanitation, or how to get rid of the waste products of millions of people and animals. Though there had been sewers in London since the 17th century, by the 19th century, those had become inadequate for the rapidly expanding population. In many areas of London, cesspits, similar to modern septic tanks, were used to deposit human waste. These were occasionally emptied by night soil men, who removed the waste by shovel, basket, and cart. Improvements in the water supply system and the introduction of flush toilets in the first half of the 19th century placed a tremendous burden on the already strained sanitation systems of the city. As a result, by the 1850s, it was not uncommon for the cesspits and sewers to overflow into the streets and eventually into the Thames River. Additionally, the slaughterhouses and tanneries that lined the riverbanks dumped their waste products into the waterway. In essence, the river was one gigantic open sewer. Charles Dickens often depicted the filth of London in his novels and writings, and when Michael Faraday, the great scientist, traveled on the Thames in 1855, he noted the opaque brown color of the water, in which the fetulence rolled up in clouds so dense that they were visible at the surface. The smell of the river was also overwhelming, and a cause of great concern for Londoners. In the 1830s, 40s, and 50s, cholera outbreaks in the city had killed thousands, and most people blamed the bad smells of the city and river as the cause of the disease. One physician, Sir John Snow, correctly observed that contaminated drinking water was the probable culprit, but he was widely ignored. In the summer of 1858, the situation in London went from bad to worse. For 2 months, July and August, London suffered through a heat wave that caused the noxious waters of the Thames to emit a horrific odor that the London newspapers christened the Great Stink. The riverbanks, covered in human and industrial waste, rotting food, and the occasional corpse of a murder victim, were a putrid depository of foul fermenting muck. As the heat wave continued, public outcry over the smell grew more vocal. Eventually, the malodorous funk of the Thames forced the government to take action. Parliament, housed in Westminster on the north bank of the river, tried to ignore the stink until it became unbearable, then rapidly passed legislation to address the issue. Joseph Bazalgette, a civil engineer, was commissioned to design an expansion and improvement of London's sewer system. With remarkable foresight, he calculated the needed sewer capacity and then doubled it to account for future growth. Between 1858 and 1874, 82 miles of sewer mains, 1,100 miles of street sewers, 4 pumping stations, and 2 treatment plants were built. The immense network of underground pipes and conduits carried the sewage out of the city and resulted in an immediately noticeable improvement of the river and health in London. Additionally, as part of Bazalgette's overall plan, several embankments were constructed along the river. In the end, the Great Stink led to the modernization of London, an improvement in the lives of the city's people. Incidents of waterborne diseases, such as cholera, virtually disappeared. The new embankments beautified the riverfront, and Bazalgette, credited with preventing countless deaths, emerged as a hero of Victorian England. This has been History Shorts. Thanks for watching.